Hi, Darryl. So you were talking to me last night about what I'm truly designed to do. So just give us a quick rundown, getting to the essence of it.
Yeah, sure, you bet. Thanks for the opportunity. Well, look, it's my view that the design part of our chart shows us the majority energy source that we're here to optimize. By that I mean the design, which is referred to generally as the unconscious part of us. I think I prefer to call it the less conscious part, because there's times you're very conscious of your design at work and the various energies that are in it. It's just that a lot of it's sort of subconscious to unconscious from time to time. So, for example, you try and consciously...
Just one thing, sorry, mate. There's a bit of squeaking and rubbing. Is there anything you can, and it's affecting the sound, it's coming through this end. Is there anything you can do to just soften that a bit?
Let me just turn off my air conditioning and see if that's the background sound you're picking up. Has that got rid of it or not? If it hasn't, then I can't do anything about it.
Okay, then you've done what you can do. Thanks, mate. Go ahead.
Did that make any difference or not?
No.
No, so I'll turn it back on again. All right, so, you try making your heart beat or slow down. I mean, unless you've done years of yogic meditation and, spent half your life living in a freaking temple or a cave learning how to do it. And that's only one small organ vital, but one organ in your body. Try making your liver function, or try consciously making your kidneys work, or try moving a blood cell even a centimetre within your body consciousness. That's stuff that your subconscious, unconscious part of your design takes care of for you automatically. And we now know that that part of our makeup is hundreds and hundreds of times, if not even thousands of times, more potent, more powerful, more capable than the conscious part of us, okay?
Right.
So given that, when we look at a human design chart and we look down the left side and we see the red channel, the red column there, of all those gates, we realise here's the energy that's really got, the major dynamic in our lives. And so when you look at the sun, earth, whether it's in the personality or the design, which are the top two people, top two up there, and I know you know that, but some people listening to this, if you're going to ever let them listen to it in the future, might not know that. According to the first guy that ever brought human design into the world, Ra Uru Hu.
Who?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, changed his name. Anyway, he says that the design sun energy is 70% of the column's energy. So 70% of your design energy comes from the sun. Now, that's no great mystery when we consider basic high school science, and we understand that, the life on the planet Earth, largely comes from the sun. And then we ground that energy in the earth, obviously. And so that's a pretty significant part of it as well. So in your case, Christopher, your design sun is which gate?
64, line 4.
64, line 4.
That's the screen, Darryl.
Okay, good. I can't see it. So that's 60. I mean, it's there. I can see it, but I'm not looking at it because I'm talking on my phone. So that's 70% of your design energy, which we've already come to understand. Your design energy is probably 90% of your total combined energy between your design and personality. And this is my view, and there are probably lots of experts far more qualified than me who would choose to disagree, and that's okay. I don't really care about that. They can be as wrong as they want. So 70% of your design energy is a massive part of who you are, and your personality would do very, very well to support that energy. I mean, whatever intelligence is pumping blood around your body, keeping your liver functioning and keeping your system clean, and making your kidneys work, and giving you all sorts of other functions that you never even hardly give a thought to, it would behoove your personality to do whatever it can to support that system. That would be pretty obvious, wouldn't it?
Yeah, yeah. Take care of your body.
Take care of your body. You know, all the great religions talk about this. And they also say that the whatever you're looking for and the power of who you are that keeps you going is inside yourself. And you know, the Judeo religion talked about the temple, and they had a sort of little many ceremonies that venerated this beautiful temple, but they realized that the Holy of Holies, which was a place deep inside the temple, was where the real power rests. And so that was, you know, the sort of archetypal story of what we're talking about here. And then Christ comes along, you know, later on in the Christian Judeo version of things, and he talks about, you know, the kingdom of God is within you, and your body is the temple of the Holy Spirit. Well, you know, that's another, you know, confirmation, you know, and I'm sure all the great religions, not that I've studied them all, say the same thing. So I know I'm preaching a bit here, but it's good. I'm enjoying myself. So when you think about your design sun, it's the 64, which is the abstract, big picture thinking, also the sort of it's got a lot of scope for randomness and even chaos. And now we know with modern science, fairly recent times in the last 100 years or less, this whole quantum mechanics, quantum theory that we're realizing is so powerful is where that's a sort of random, chaotic world, but we're learning how to marshal that randomness and organize that energy. And amazing technologies are now becoming available and will very soon be more commercialized, like quantum computing, for example, which can calculate it, you know, orders of magnitude faster than any form of computing we can do at the moment. So we're learning how to tap into the quantum area and the quantum energies. And as a human being, to tap into your own quantum field is, I mean, that's the juice. I mean, that's the magic sauce. That's the greatest thing that can ever happen to us. And for you to be able to tap into that 70% is really something. But what you've got to do is be able to ground that, take that sun energy, cosmic, outer space, off-Earth energy, off-planet sort of
imagination.
Imagination, yeah, all that stuff, and bring that down to Earth. Now, what's your design Earth?
63-4.
Okay, so 63 and 64 are both in the head center of the human design chart.
Yep.
If they're your design energies, then they'll be in red. And so that means that you're, you know, oftentimes not conscious of them. But to say you're never conscious of them isn't correct either, because you're frequently conscious of your imagination and your ideas. And the 63 side is the logic part. So that's kind of already starting to give you the opportunity to bring the imagination, the randomness, the chaotic, the unmarshaled troops, so to speak, and start to bring a semblance of order to them through the logic energy and start to marshal these troops. But they're still in the head center, so they're still in that in the thinking area. They haven't really come down into the highly organized area, which is the next center down in the human design chart, known as the Ajna Center, where things get even more organized. But this is how the process of life starts. It starts with chaos. It starts with disorganization. It starts with the random. It starts with imagination. It starts with a great idea. You can't look out your window and see anything man-made that didn't start as an idea. I'm 12 stories up, and when I look out my window, I see buildings, houses, condominiums, roads, power lines, telephone lines, you know, football, tennis courts, swimming pools. All these things were once just an idea in somebody's mind. That's all they were. Well, when I say that's all they were, that's sort of like pretty powerful and not to be underestimated. But if all they ever did was stay as an idea in the random world, and even if they got logicked a little bit and sort of orderly thinking started to transpire, it still doesn't mean much until it actually, somebody does something about it and organises some plans and starts to, organise some people and contract some people and make the thing happen so that it materialises as a swimming pool, a tennis court, a condominium, a house, a motor car, a street, a road, etc., etc. So this is part of the process, and you've got this amazing 64, which is, which is very vast energy, isn't it? It's just incredible.
Big picture.
Big picture. There is no limit to this picture, really.
Right.
There really isn't. As the old saying goes, the only limitation is your imagination.
Yeah.
From way back, people imagined they could fly, and they started jumping out of trees with, sort of contraptions hitched to their back and falling to break their legs and arms, and then they started jumping off castles and, with the wax affixed feathers to their arms and legs, and the sun melted the wax and they fell to their peril. But now we fly around in bloody rockets, and we've landed on the moon,
right,
and Mars. Well, not people have landed on Mars, but things have landed on Mars, and we're looking at it with cameras, and we're sending the images back to planet Earth. So this is all as a result of the imagination. Without it, we wouldn't have been there. We'd never be able to go there. And we're already imagining interplanetary exploration. We're imagining all kinds of things. And that's the only way that anything will ever become a grounded reality, is if it starts in the imagination. So for you, here's the thing, to answer your question. You've got this massive big picture thinking. You've got the capacity to conceptualize it a little more and marshal that sort of imagination, that randomness, that chaos, and bring it into semblance of order through your logic energy. Mm-hmm. And then coming down from the design sun and design earth, I think the next energy down are the nodes. Is that right?
Yes. Well, there's the moon, but then there's the nodes, yeah.
Oh, sorry, yeah, okay, there's the moon. I won't go into that for now, but as far as the nodes are concerned, they give us a bit of an idea of where we've come from and where we're going. So the south node's where you've come from and where you're sort of coming from, and the north node is where you're going to. What you've got to look forward to. It's sort of more futuristic in that sense. And what's your north node all about?
It's about nourishment.
Nourishment. It's about support.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what's your south node all about?
That's it. Well, it's coming from the way the I Ching interprets it as treachery, but what it really is about learning how to deal with your own power and the power of other individuals in a way that not only do you survive, but you become authentic. It's about dealing with people in the real world and surviving it.
Yeah, and so there's an aspect to that, quite a big aspect to that, where it's very personal. It's very much all about you. And
exactly.
And as you consider your life, now moving into your, seventh decade or eighth decade, 70 plus now, or 70 now, so you're moving into your eighth decade. You spent a lot of your life, as you look back over it, really, really developing yourself in personal development. And now you're experiencing this incredible transition, which I can vouch for as having, known you for now coming up to 5 years, in really wanting to take the best of everything you've learned and developed in yourself as a talent and a skill, and you've polished it up, you've made it worth something, because it's not just enough to have talent. You can be a great artist, but if you go to art school, you'll learn how to, do your art even better. You can be a talented musician, and sort of have natural talent, but if you go to music school, you'll learn the theory that'll help you, be even greater and far better. And you've spent, 7 decades in school kind of working it out and polishing your talent, and now it's time to expose it in an even greater way. It's not that you haven't been doing things for the world, but now you've got a vision and an imagination and an idea and
motivation.
Pardon me?
And a motivation.
And motivation, yeah, to reach out now and extend yourself in a far more grand and far-reaching manner.
Yeah.
So you're moving. So your south node kind of stuff is what you bring into your north node, which is all about support.
Yeah.
Now,
Other people.
Other people, right? Exactly. So you're really here. Your whole future now is about supporting other people with great ideas, with your great ideas, coming to them and serving them, because you're a generator. So you're here to generate stuff, and there's not a generator out there that generates stuff for itself.
Right.
I was an electrician as a youngster, and what's the point of having a hydroelectric power scheme sitting there, massive turbines generating megawatts all day long, and no cables going anywhere to light anything up or warm anything up or cook anything or do anything? It's a complete and utter freaking waste of time, enough effort and money. So what's the point of having a battery? Let's just think about the simple Duracell battery. You've got a AA penlight battery and it's in the drawer. Well, the only thing it's ever going to do over time is go flat. It might be a handy paperweight.
Yeah.
And if you leave it long enough, it'll start to decay and it'll lose all over your valuables in the drawer and completely screw everything up for you. So that's the value of a generator when it's not actually helping something beyond itself in the long term.
Yep.
So you are here for the benefit of other people primarily.
Yep.
And you've spent all this time now, in readiness, and now it's time to, sort of explode on the scene, so to speak, which you're in the throes of doing. And how you do that is by bringing your great ideas and imaginations and bringing them into a grounded sense where you can bring some semblance of order to them. So it's not enough just to have, great big ideas. You've got to ground them. They've got to have some semblance of logic to them, some semblance of order to them, some potential application. Now, beyond that, you're going to need the people that you're supporting, and what will happen is, as you support people, everywhere you find people that you can support, and you can just, give them your energy, if they're worthy and if they're good-hearted people, because you don't want to be giving energy to anyone else anyway, then as you support those people, they will actually complete or bring the satisfaction back to you that a generator seeks. Excuse me. So every generator knows they're on track when they've got that sense within themselves of satisfaction.
Well, when the energy's being taken and used to help, for the benefit of other people.
Well, that's how you express it, because that's how you're designed to do it. Other people might have a different sun-earth combination and might experience satisfaction in a different way. That's exactly how you're designed to experience it. And so you're here to take those big ideas, get them into a semblance of order. You don't have to finish the project, because in actual fact, you're not even capable of finishing the project. And to try and do so would only be moving you outside your optimal space and frustrate you, which is a good indication you're definitely off track. But you definitely need to just find as many people as you can that are worthy of you and serve them with all of your heart. And in the serving of them, you will find your own satisfaction. And that satisfaction is going to show up not only as a feeling for you in the initial sense of it, because that's what you'll get a good feeling out of it, but you can't eat good feelings. You can't feed your family with good feelings. You can't pay the mortgage with good feelings. You can't put fuel in the car with good feelings. You can't go shopping with good feelings. So that's not enough. Those good feelings, that must lead to something, and what they need to lead to is paid mortgages and, petrol in the car and other practicalities. And the way they'll do that in your particular case, particularly, is through other people. Now, why would other people bring practical realities to fruition in your world? Well, because you're worth it. Now, I'm not talking theoretically. Of course, you're worth it. Every person on the planet's very, very worthy. But they've got a sense of your worthiness and are delighted to pay you or reward you or in some way compensate you for the benefit that they're receiving courtesy of you. The old saying is true, there's no free lunches, and there really isn't. And good people know that. The ones that want to get something for nothing are not good people. Just skip past those ones. They're a waste of time.
Yep.
They're still learning, and they don't need to learn entirely at your expense. They can, get a little bit here, there, and everywhere, and skin their knees and stub their toes, and finally wake the hell up to realizing that if they don't start giving some value, they're never going to get some value. It's called karma. So if you don't put it out there, it's not going to come back to you. And a lot of people haven't learned that. But there's enough people in the world that have. You just need to find those people, and they're already on your books, in your reach. They're already your friends and your customers and people and have worked with over time. And they might be small in number, but they're what you've got. As I said to you last night, relaying the old story of the biblical story, the New Testament of Christ feeding the 5,000. There he was. They'd been out on the hillside all day or however long they'd been out there, and Christ was waxing eloquent and preaching to everybody. And the disciples said, hey, look, there's 5,000 people out here, Jesus, and they're getting hungry, mate. They want something to eat. And Jesus didn't turn around and say, oh, no, we're screwed now. Boy, they're going to start hating me soon because we've got nothing to eat. He said, well, what have we got? He didn't say, what don't we have? Oh, we don't have the people to serve. We don't have the people to help us do this. We don't have this. We don't have that. And that's what a lot of people do, Christopher. And we all do it sometimes in some ways, but we need to cut it out because it's not serving us. It's no use constantly focusing on what you don't have. What you have to do if you want to go ahead and get forward is focus on what you do have. If you're not happy about where you are and you want to be somewhere else, the very first thing you need to do is know where you are.
Exactly.
Because if I'm on my way to your place and somehow I've gotten lost because I'm in a district I don't know, and I ring you up on the cell phone and say, mate, I'm lost, you need to know where I am before you can tell me what to do next. Is that correct?
Yeah. What's it say outside the window? It says, welcome to Japan. Darryl, I think you're a little bit off track.
Exactly. So, the very first thing we've got to know in life, if we want to move forward, is we've got to know what we've got. What do you got to work with? Oh, well, I haven't got much. Like those chefs, those TV chefs that come to rock up at your house, surprise visit, and they say, I'm going to cook dinner for you. Oh, I haven't got much. Well, what have you got? Let's open the fridge. Don't tell me what you haven't got. That's no use to me. Tell me what you have got. And they make this gourmet meal with what you've got, and it surprises everybody. Well, there was Christ out on the hillside. All he had was the disciples came back. They rallied around and they said, what have we got? And one kid had a smart mum who packed his lunch for him, and he came out to the hillside with 5 loaves and 2 fishes. In that Middle Eastern culture, those loaves would have been flat bread, probably like little pita breads or something. Mm-hmm. Just 5 little pita breads, and a couple of fishes. They wouldn't have been bloody, Norwegian salmon at right. 5 kilos or something. Right. These would be little sardines or little mackerels or something small. Yeah. And that's all he had. And Jesus didn't go, oh God, we're screwed, mate, we can't do anything with that. What he did was the scripture says he blessed it. Now the word bless means to say good about. If I say, oh, bless you, it means I'm thinking good of you. I'm speaking well of you. I'm happy for you. I'm happy about you. Things couldn't be better. Bless you. Bless you, man. That was just really nice. Thank you. God bless you for that. You know, that's a blessing. Well, when you what we do in life is we look at what we've got and go, oh, holy crap, we're screwed, mate. What can we do? I haven't got the money for the rent. Haven't got the money for food. Haven't got the money to send the kids to school. Haven't got the money to pay the mortgage. Haven't got the money for this. Oh, doctor says I've got this and doctor says I've got that. Sure, but, you know, what have you got that you can work with? Start right there, because if you start speaking good about that, it's amazing how it will grow. Now, of course, the story in the Bible, whether you believe it or not, doesn't really matter, but it's a great story of truth, and that is that if you want more, start saying good about what you've got.
Yes.
Instead of cursing it, which is what you're doing when you don't say good about what you've got.
Exactly.
You're cursing yourself. And these are very powerful curses, I might add.
Exactly.
And they clearly work because they reinforce the situation.
Oh, you see it on TV all the time.
Yeah, exactly. We see it in people's lives, see it in our neighbours, see it in our friends, see it in our mothers, fathers, kids, brothers, sisters, family. It's everywhere. It's an epidemic. So, you know, we're here as enlightened individuals, and you know, the mission that Jesus gave to his disciples just before he left was go into the world and be the light of the world. He said, go into the world and preach the gospel. What's the gospel? Well, it's the gospel, as my father used to call it. The gospel. Take the gospel. What is the gospel? Well, the gospel, at its essence, in its most root definition, is good news. That's what it is. Good news. Just like Jesus blessed the 5 loaves and the little 5 pita breads and a couple of sardines. He spoke well of them. He said, now go into the world. Live your life this way, guys. Speak well of everything that you've got and spread the good news about how it works for you.
Not the fake news.
Pardon? Not the fake news. No, that's right. Exactly right. So we've got to spread the good news, and the good news for you is you've got this incredible energy. It's an amazing, you know, big picture situation. You can bring that into some semblance of order. You can't finish it up, but you can organise it a bit.
Show people how to use it in the real world.
Show people how to use it in the real world, and hook up with other people in a way that sort of
allows me to nourish them.
Yeah, well, look, you know, you're like a big battery there with 2 terminals, a positive and a negative terminal. If you could liken those two, 63 and 64, to to a 12-volt car battery, you've got a positive terminal and you've got a negative terminal. Now, don't think of the word negative as being destructively negative, because without the negative terminal, the battery will never start the car.
Exactly.
So they're both very, and you can't even really think about the positive as being, you know, the opposite of a negative in a sense. They're the 2 terminals you need to engage the energy, to get the energy started. After that, the engine starts up, and then you've got, you know, a self-perpetuating thing going on, as long as you've got fuel in the tank. And as a generator, you're kind of fuel in the tank as well. So, you know, you're the battery. You've got the battery up there in your head, and you've got the fuel in the tank. Now you just need the engines to come along, and you can start them up, and you can keep them going.
Exactly. And that spark thing up at the top, that's tapped into, what would you call that with the head?
Well, I would call that in real terms, I would say that's tapped into the infinite.
Exactly.
Because that's the red part of you. That's the part of you that, you know, that you've got very little control over that. What you can do is synchronize with it for your personality's benefit.
Gotcha.
and everybody else's benefit. That's the life force of you. One day, you know, your body's going to potentially anyway cave it, and it'll be done with. But that energy, that's the infinite part of you. That's the, you know, what you might want to call God or life or however you want to describe it. But that's the power beyond yourself.
Yeah.
But it's the unique version of it that shows up as you. I've got a unique version of it as well that shows up as me, and they're not the same. But the source is the same.
Yep. There's your chart.
Well, yeah. So we're all drawing down from the infinite reservoir called life or God. You know, and most of the religions tend to personalize this energy because that makes sense. You know, people can understand that. Kids can understand that. You start talking to a 6-year-old about the infinite, you know, divinity and all that sort of, they can't get the idea. But you start talking about Father God, or, you know, you put an icon there and they can sort of relate to that. Well, that's, you know, that's your superhero. And even in life, you know, we've got all these superheroes, but they're all just archetypes of power greater than ourselves.
Yeah.
Of our ability to rise up to be more than we are today. You know, you can be a Superman in your own world. You can be a, you know, a superhero in your own world. You can draw on, you know, that uniqueness that's you and show up that way in the world. And that's what you're about, really, yourself. And that's what's happening in a big way in your life right now from what you've shared with me.
So be careful what I associate with. Go for the best. And draw upon the very best in my life that inspires me, inspires my imagination, and then make it practical so that it nourishes people in a real way in their lives and they can flourish themselves.
Go out there and, you know, find as many good people in your world as you can and just serve them, unreservedly serve them. And in serving them with your uniqueness, they are going to either directly or indirectly, because everybody you know knows more people than, you know, knows more people. So, you know, the old 2 or 3 degrees, it used to be 6 degrees of separation. But it's now in this era now, it's more like 2 or 3 degrees of separation with social media. Yeah. Somebody you know knows somebody that knows sort of everybody in a sense. You know, I mean, we're connected. It's not 6 degrees of separation anymore. It's less than that for sure. I don't know what the number is, but it's certainly less than that. And that's, you know, part of technology. And technology has enabled us to tap into even greater things. I mean, that's another whole discussion. I won't confuse this one with that one, but that is an incredible part of what's happening right now is this technology revolution is facilitating us as individual human beings to be able to tap into the divine in ways that were never available to us 25 years ago.
Yep.
When the internet didn't exist.
Yep, I remember that.
Yeah.
The only thing we had was a telephone in the hallway. And
you walk over to it, pick up the handset, the rotary dial to get the number. You know, I mean, now here I am, you know, significant distance away from you, holding a little device in my hand that rang on my bedside while I was sitting on my bed watching telly, and here you are, and here we are recording this conversation for the benefit of potentially dozens, hundreds, even thousands or more people in the future maybe that might listen to this. And that's thanks to technology that we didn't have. Well, the internet has been around about 25 years, but we didn't have mobile phones, you know, 15 years ago like this. And we certainly didn't have mobile phones that could do what we're doing right now, even, you know, less than a decade ago. So this is really moving at a clip right now. And if you extrapolate that curve out, time is speeding up, if you want to see it that way.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, we're growing up fast.
Had that for a conversation, but this one's really, in essence, what you're here to do. And you'll find the greatest level of satisfaction, and you will deliver the greatest levels of satisfaction to other people as you plug into them find the ones that are worth serving and serve them. And it only needs to be, you know, the equivalent of 5 loaves and 2 fishes.
That's what we should call the video. Loaves and fishes.
Fair enough. Why not? Loaves and fishes. There you go.
Well, thanks, Darryl. That's wonderful. Really enjoyed that. And thank you for last night. It was very inspiring, which is one of the things you and I are working on doing together with Inspiring Mastery. So that was inspiring. I mean, we're doing it. It's just a matter of then just letting it, you know, expand and go where it needs to go.
Yeah, that's right. Yep, that's right. Find people to serve and serve them with all your heart.
Thank you. That really moved me both last night. Today I'm a little more comfortable with it. It's like, yes. So thank you.
Good stuff, mate. Lovely chatting to you, Christopher.
Okay, mate. Take care.
See you, buddy. Bye.